Good morning. I'm here in St Endas, which is my local park, which is also home to the Pearse Museum. And I'm in the walled garden. And there's a beautiful thrush here in the tree singing his little heart out. And I can hear the fountain just up here on the way to the museum, which has a beautiful poem carved in stone, The Wayfarer, written by Pádraig Pearse, on the night before his execution. This is coming up to the anniversary. It is the anniversary of the 1916 Easter Rising. It took place 110 years ago. And he wrote that poem on the night before. Did I just say that? His execution. And I'm reflecting actually on the Ireland's Ancient East retreat that finished yesterday. And it's interesting how the format unfolded. It started with rebellion, with the tour of the GPO, the General Post Office, which is the heart of where the 1916 Rising took place, an event that ultimately would lead to freedom for the majority of the island of Ireland, an Irish free state, and then a republic. And that was day one of our retreat. And then the end, yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, we came here to St Endas, which I've walked to this morning. It's literally in my backyard. And this is where Pádraig Pearse bought his school for boys. And it's also the last place that he stepped out of and cycled into town, into Dublin city centre, to be a key figure in the 1916 Rising. So we began with rebellion, we ended with rebellion, and revolution. And then in between that, during the Ireland's Ancient East retreat, we went to the sacred sites, the ancient sacred sites of Ireland, Newgrange, Nouth and Douth, the Hill of Tara, the Hill of Slane, where St Patrick lit his paschal candle and fire. And, that was the beginning of the end for paganism, for earth-based religions, but really they're still here. Where else did we go? Loch Crew, the Hill of the Witch, where the wind was so fierce and freezing. And I always feel the weather really supports whatever work we are here to do on the land. And it was a biting cold easterly wind for the start of our retreat the first few days. So we didn't linger long on some of the sites, especially Slieve na Cally, the Hill of the Witch at Loch Crew, because it was so cold. Our hands got so cold, our toes got so cold, our noses got so cold. Then we went on to Ishnok, and people in our group naturally took off their shoes and socks and walked barefoot in the green grass. It was a beautiful sunny day by then, and connected with this spiritual sacred centre of Ireland, of Éire. And so many in the group, as we continue to integrate all that has unfolded during this beautiful event, so many have said that they feel so earthed, that Ireland is so earthing. It's such a magical place. People are so friendly. They smile, they talk to you, and they speak to you from their heart. Like, it means a lot to share our history, her story, and to be received in honour. And that in itself is healing, because of our tumultuous history and how it also reflects the history of our world and brings hope for the Americans. It was all people from America, all parts of America, that attended this retreat. It gives hope to them. Others have said how rooted they feel. It connected them with their deep roots of Ireland. And that then is brought back to the lands that they return to in America. For others, it gave them a deep insight into who they are and their patterns, even from the room that they were assigned to and the different beautiful accommodation that we had, to how we are in a group situation to how we show up and voice and share our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions. So it's been hugely transformative for me, for people in our group as well. After Ishnok and the Sacred Centre, we then went to Kildare and had time there, which was deeply moving for so many. The trip of a lifetime, a dream to stay in the lands of Bridget, goddess, and Saint Bridget, and to connect with her fire temple, with her cathedral, where the dean of the cathedral showed us round. It was really special. And then to walk to Solas Vrija, the Brigidine nuns, where we were greeted there with another a private audience, which was so gorgeous. It was very warm inside the British room, but we got to see the flame that remains alight and is held sacred by the Brigidine sisters. They really are the Bridgets, the Marys of the Gaels, the Magdalens, in my view. And some were so moved by that, and to go to the well at Tara and tie sacred prayer ribbons to the magical fairy trees, and to leave those prayers here in the land of Ireland, knowing that they are held sacred by fairies, basically. And actually, when we were here in St Endas, which is a place I've come to all my life, one of the participants said there's a fairy tree here, and sometimes you don't see what's on your backyard. And of course there is a sacred hawthorn tree at the entrance to this walled garden, and I'll take you there at the end of this. So it's been really beautiful, the revolution, the rebellion, the violence that has unfolded in these lands, but also how that's been wrapped up, igniting the fire within people, but wrapped up in the ancientness of the lands, lying on the grassy mound of Doubt that was so wounded through a botched excavation, dynamited, being with the lambs, being with the animals, and really connecting to the voice of the land and receiving the sacred messages for each of the people that have attended. So all is that it held in this ancient sacredness to support people and help weave people back to wholeness. So I really love all of that. So I don't know if you can see it, there's a beautiful fountain behind me. You probably can't because of the angle of the camera. And it's extremely peaceful here in the gardens of St Endas, in the Pearse Museum. I'll take you to the magical fairy tree, which people naturally reached out and connected with during our retreat and released and whispered their prayers into the tree. I'll just show you as we head to the fairy tree. This is the gorgeous fountain. And carved in stone around this beautiful meditative space is the Wayfarer poem, as I mentioned, that Pádraig Pearse wrote on the night before his execution. He also wrote a really moving letter to his mother saying goodbye, dear, dear mother. And part of the poem is a line, "This will pass." So even in the depths of the despair and the impending doom and death that was unfolding for Pádraig Pearse, he knew it too would pass and that his legacy would live on. And here it does. Behind me, behind the fountain, is the Pearse Museum, which is a beautiful space. I recommend you to go there. One other thing I meant to mention that I remembered as I was walking is Pádraig Pearse set this place up as a school for boys, and he researched different educational methods around Europe. In particular, he was inspired by educational ways in Belgium, in particular, in the way Flemish and Wallon was woven together to teach people about their cultural heritage. And that's something that he wanted to do here, to revive the Irish language. It was an English-Irish bilingual school, but also he believed in the Modírach, the direct way. So what better way to experience education than to immerse yourself in the land? All of this land was part of the school, to garden, to plant seeds and watch them grow into vegetables, and to be out amongst nature, to learn about the bird songs, to know about the trees and the plants, the Modirach, the direct method. And that really connects with the way I like to host and guide people and invite people here to the land. There's nothing more direct than coming here, being here in person, and walking barefoot or with shoes on the land. It is extremely powerful and extremely healing. Right, I'll take you to another little monument along the way and then on to the fairy tree. So, can you see these two sculptures behind me? To my right and left. These are actually in honour of Patrick Pearse and his brother Willie or Liam, both who were executed. Patrick Pearse on the 3rd of May 1916, William the day after on the 4th of May 1916. And I just love these two beautiful carvings that you can actually climb up into. One of the people in our group did actually climb up and sit inside, and my kids, when they were younger and we come up here, they'd climb up there and sit in those. They're like little eggs, little nests for people. So these two sculptures are in honour of the two brothers who did lose their lives in the fight for Irish freedom. And may no lives be lost in the fight for freedom. Let's do this a different way. Let's come to the land. Let's join forces together in peace. That is what the Brigidine nuns stand for. It's a centre for peace. Right, to the fairy tree we shall go. So this behind me is the fairy tree, the sacred hawthorn. As you can see, it's just coming into bloom and it's surrounded by beautiful bluebells, which is really gorgeous. And yeah, the group just naturally knew to stand by the fairy tree, reach out their hands, touch the tree, hug the tree, circle the tree. Usually I like to do it 3 times clockwise to honour the fairies, to honour the wisdom and ancientness of the hawthorn. And I did have a dream many years ago about the hawthorn, about removing a thorn from my heart, and that represented the sin, the shame, the suffering that has unfurled here on the land, and filling that with gold elixir to fill up the space with healing. So I'll leave you for a moment with the fairy tree. If you are interested in events online, in person, connect with me, Eimear Stassin, through not Ireland's ancient East, through irishwisdomschool.com. And there'll be a link somewhere in my link tree for that, irishwisdomschool.com, and sign up to the waitlist so you'll be first to hear. Right, I'll leave you for a moment with the tree.